Hi, so I'm here again to film another vlog, and today I am answering Patricia of @questionable7's question that she posted for me on Instagram last week, and it was about how to clean and dispose of the paint on your acrylic trays. And I think that's a great question because if you're like me, you probably have a lot of this laying around, or a lot of these, just bowls and plastic pallets, and or these, which these are pallet paper that comes from a pallet pad. It's like wax paper. So if you're guilty of being a lazy artist like me, don't feel bad. I think it's totally normal. The thing is with acrylic paints that I didn't even realize until far into art school that acrylic paints are essentially, long story short, they have like plastic in them, or they're plastic paints. So when you put plastic onto a plastic tray, it's just gonna gunk up and stay there. So you really should be using like a metal tray, which is what this is. It's called a butcher tray, and this one's coated white, so it'll show you like good true colors. Or you could use a ceramic plate, like a white dish that you get at the thrift store, or you could use a piece of glass and paint onto that, and that way if the paint does happen to dry onto it, it just scrapes off pretty easily. Or if it's not scraping off so easily, you just soak it in water, and I've heard of people like soaking it in fabric softener or something, but honestly if you just soak it in like warm sudsy water, it usually will just come right off. As far as, is it safe to go down the drain? I'm not gonna say that it's safe, but I wouldn't say that cleaning off your paint palette is going to clog up your drain. If you're like pouring a lot of acrylic paints down your sink, then yeah, you know, don't do that. That's not wise. I don't know why you would do that anyways. Why waste paint? Donate it to an art teacher. So if you're just cleaning your paint palette, don't worry about it. If you're really worried about it, is it safe for the environment or something like that, you can look on whatever brand paint that you bought. Usually on their website, they will give you a link to a place that you can properly dispose of it if you need be. But if you're just scraping paint off, scrape it into a paper towel, it's safe to throw it away. But if not, like I said, go to the manufacturer and look into what they say. Oil paints is a different story. We're strictly talking about acrylic water-based paint. Oil paint is considered hazardous, and it's not safe to put into the trash. You should not put your oil paint rags into the trash. So we're strictly talking about acrylic paints. So plastic trays, you get a really beautiful mess. That's not so bad to look at. You can, of course, reuse these over and over again. Clearly, that's what I do. And they're super cheap. Palette paper is the cheapest. These work great on butcher paper. You can like put it into a butcher palette if you want something sturdier than just this pad. I often, most of the time, just paint right onto the pad, and then when it's full, I rip it off. And I save them, hang them around if they're beautiful. If I like that color choice, that color palette, I save it. So I'm usually going the cheap route, but whatever works for you is good. If that answers I hope that answers your question. If you have another question for me about painting, art, whatever, you can leave it in the comments below, or you can send me an email at courtney@myfriendcourt.com. Thanks.